And welcome to 5.4. We really aren't having any new ideas in this lesson. It's about practicing doing these statements and reasons. And first I'll go over some of the reasons that we're going to practice first. A is the fact that a straight angle is 180 degrees. You could also write supplementary angles. There it is. The second one, a right angle is 90 degrees, or you could write complementary angles. Part C, something that we've mentioned a few times, if you add up the angles inside of a triangle, so angle 1, angle 2, and angle 3, if you add them up, and it doesn't matter the shape or the size of the triangle, those three angles always add up to 180 degrees. The last one is that opposite angles are equal. Okay, so those are statements that you can use as reasons when you're trying to prove something or when you're making statements. So let's take a look at example number 1. It says, what is the measure or size of angle x? So of those four reasons that I just mentioned, we're going to be using this one about the angles adding up to 180 degrees. So there's more than one way to do this, but here's one way you could say, well, angle x plus the 45 degrees plus the 98 degrees is going to have to add up to 180 degrees. Why do you know this is true? So we make a statement and then we do a reason to back it up. And the reason would be, well, the angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. And it might be a lot to write that out word for word, so I've got sort of a shorthand method. And for angles, I just kind of do that because that means an angle. It's plural, so angles of a, that's not bad, we can write that. A triangle, I'm going to write a triangle like that. Add up to 180 degrees. I'm just going to say equals 180 degrees. So that's the reason that backs up that statement. Now we have to do a little bit of work. Well, if they all add up to 180 degrees, what I can do is I can say that angle x is going to be equal to, I'm going to take away the 45 and take away the 98 from both sides. So if I subtract them, so it's 180 degrees minus 45 degrees minus 98 degrees. And then that would give you your answer. And I think if I don't think I can do that one in my head, if I do this with my calculator, I would get 37 degrees for that one. Okay, so there's an example of showing the statements and the reason to get that answer. Okay, let's take a look at number 2. What is the measure of angle x? So I've got a straight line, which is a pretty good clue. Then I'm going to use reason number A here. A straight angle is 180 degrees, or you could write supplementary angles. So here I could write, well, angle x plus 35 degrees is equal to 180 degrees. And the reason, I'm going to pick the short one, I'm going to say supplementary angles. How about I just do that? Suppla angles. And now if I'm going to solve that, similar to the last way I solved it, I'm going to say, well, the angle x is going to be equal to 180 minus 35 degrees. And so what do I get? 145 degrees. All right, moving on to example number 3. It says, what is the measure of angle RQS? What is, like, it's just a fancy word to say, how many degrees is it? Is RQS. So I'm really, and it's another way of saying, what's angle X? Because that's angle X. I'll trace it, RQX. So that's really the same thing as saying, what is angle X? Well, it seems to me, let's look back here. It looks like part B here. A right angle is 90 degrees, so that means that angle x and 48 degrees together are going to add up to 90 degrees. How do I know that? It's because of this little box symbol there, because that shows it must be 90 degrees. So I'm going to say, okay, angle x plus 48 degrees equals 90 degrees. So the reason is because they are not supplementary. Remember, supplementary is for the straight line. Complementary is for the corner or for the 90 degrees. So I'm going to say complementary angles. And again, I'll kind of pick the short version. And now if I want to figure that what that is I'll have to say, well, that angle x is equal to 90 minus 48 degrees. So angle x is going to be equal to 42 degrees. Okay, let's go on to the next page I got. What is the size of angle x? Well, not too surprising, since I gave you like 4 reasons and 4 examples. It's the one we haven't used yet. It's that this opposite angles are equal. So if I look over here, the x and the 146 are opposite of each other. So I'll just say angle x equals 146 degrees. The reason, opposite angles. Cool. Okay, so that's those 4 reasons. Now remember, these 3 reasons we've used before. Corresponding angles are equal, alternate interior angles are equal, and alternate exterior angles are equal. If you kind of forget what those are, you can go back and maybe review from the previous lesson. Let's look at example number 5. It says L1 and L2 are parallel. What is the measure of angle 2? And I said you might want to use 2 steps, but actually, to be honest with you, I think we can do this in 1 step. Angle 56 and angle x. So just as a reminder, like these, this is the interior, and see if I can do this in blue here, and this is oh, it didn't switch. There. Then that is the exterior. So when we're talking about angle 56 and angle x, we are talking about exterior angles, and since they are on opposite sides of this transversal, this red L3 here, line number 3, since they're on opposite sides, it's a perfect example to use reason E, that alternate exterior angles are equal. So we can just say angle x equals 56 degrees, and the reason is that alternate exterior angles are equal. Perfect, we got it. Let's try number 6. If line 1 and line 2 are parallel, what is the measure of angle 1? What's angle 1? I think this might be one that we'll have to do 2 steps. Because 1 is interior, that 123 is inside those 2 lines. When I say 1, I mean the 123. Like this one here is an interior angle, and this one over here is an exterior angle. So we don't really have, and they're not corresponding. So how could we do this? Well, there's lots of different ways we could do this. Here's what I'm thinking, is that this angle and this angle are going to be the same because they're corresponding. So how do I refer to that one? Well, why don't I just put a 2 there? Why don't I call that one angle 2? So my first statement could be angle 2 equals 123 degrees. My reason would be corresponding angles are equal. And now what's the relationship? Now I'm going to write this in here. This is equal to 123 degrees. Okay, now could I use that to figure out what angle 1 is? Well, those two form a straight angle, so they must add up to 180 degrees. So I'm going to make a statement. I'm going to say angle 1 plus 123 degrees equals 180 degrees. And so the reason I know this is because, well, I remember I had 2 ways to write that. Let's go look all the way back over here. I could have written a straight angle is 180 degrees, or I could just write supplementary angles. So why don't I just write supplementary angles? That's probably the shortest way to do it. And so at the end, it's really just a little calculation. I'm going to say that angle 1 then is going to be equal to 180 minus 123, so that angle 1 is equal to what is that? 57 degrees. Okay, is that the end of this? Okay, so you have a worksheet that comes up, and you've got some similar kind of questions here. Let's look at number 3. It says, if lines A, B, and D, C are parallel. So the two that are parallel are this one and this one. Find the measure of angle 2. So I've got this angle here and that angle there. So yeah, I think you can do that in one step. That won't be too challenging. And here is, you can figure out what angle 1, angle 2, and angle 3, and angle 4 are. So that's a few different ones. And then there is a cool little challenge. See if you can get that one as well. So it might be 2 steps. All right, so if you have any questions, give me a shout and I can explain it to you individually. And otherwise, I'll talk to you later.